Hi everyone, Adriaan Groenewald here. Welcome to ThinkLead, which is of course a global leadership ecosystem, helping leaders think and lead on a whole new level, helping them remember how to think and lead on a whole new level. And I'm really excited to have with me today Heyneke Meyer, famously known as the former Springbok coach, but he also did some wonderful things at the Blue Bulls and other places. But I'm excited about his new book that came out, Seven. We're going to talk about that, a little bit about him and what he's planning on in the future. But the essence is a leadership interview around that fantastic book with incredible leadership principles and life principles inside it. With me, Heyneke, welcome.
Thanks, Adriaan. Thank you very much. It's a big honor to speak to you, and I'm looking forward to discuss a few topics.
Heyneke, I mean, firstly, what's it like being back in South Africa? You were out for a few years. You're now on the sort of Eastern Cape side, which is, I guess, not ideal to be right now with COVID, but what's it like being back?
Yeah, I love South Africa, Adriaan. I'm a proud South African, proud Springbok supporter as well. And I love South Africa, I still believe we can work together, have the same vision and work towards a common goal. We can be one of the best countries in the world. So I've got a lot of hope for our country. Obviously, we need more leaders, I believe. I think we've got too many managers. We need more leaders, but I've got a lot of hope for our country, and I want to be part of the solution. So it's great to be back. Obviously, the weather is great, the people is great, and especially this time, we're so negative. I truly believe there's a lot of great things going for our country, and there's great opportunities at the moment. So we must just embrace them and try and be positive, and that's why I wrote the book as well.
Yeah, very good timing for the book, and I think it's a magnificent Christmas gift as well, as people wanted to get their husband or wife or anyone for that after the book. Heyneke, I mean, the book's name is Seven, which is just so simple, and that's it on the front cover. And it feels like rugby is just you use it as case studies, fantastic case studies, and of course a lot of people love that and like the names in it, like Victor Matfield and all those people. But why did you write it? I mean, you said now it's also to help get us more positive and so on, but what's driven you to do that?
Yeah, first of all, Seven, I believe simplicity is a sign of true greatness. So I believe in the simple things of life, and seven is a magical number. They say it's the holy number, and it's just about the 7 principles. And I think, Adriaan, why I wrote the book, a lot of people ask me why now. I've been asked to write a lot of books, especially after the Bulls' success era, and it wasn't me, it was a team effort, and especially my time at the Box as well. But I didn't want to write an autobiography because, first of all, books don't sell. You don't make money out of books. But if you're controversial and almost look down at people and use people to sell books, then you write an autobiography. So I don't want to do that. I believe that I want to make a difference, and I want to put the past behind me and rather give hope. That's what I've been about. And one of the stories I like to tell stories. It's part of my team talks. Is where Muhammad Ali fought against Sonny Liston. Nobody in the world gave him a chance because Sonny Liston was the total favorite. He was an animal, and people think he's unbeaten and unbeatable. And then Ali fought him, and in the 5th round, he wanted to stop because there was wintergreen or TP in his eyes, and he wanted to forfeit the fight. And then his trainer cussed him out to say, "Listen, go out there and fight one more round. Just go out there and fight one more round." And Ali went out, and in the 7th round, the world couldn't believe it. Sonny Liston threw in the towel, and Muhammad Ali became the world champ. So my own message out there was, this is tough times. But again, I truly want to give the message of hope and go out there, Adriaan, and fight one more round because I know it's tough for business and the coronavirus and all these things. And I truly believe that, when I opened the newspapers, I was at home, I came back from France, everything was negative. So I felt using the right autobiography is not going to help anyone. I rather want to share some leadership insights and give hope to people because the more I've seen it and I've got unbelievable feedback, people want hope. That's part of leadership, to give people hope, and that's always been my dream, and it's always been why I coach, to really make a difference in people's lives.
Yeah, I mean, there's life principles, so anyone can read this book and get a lot from it because we all want to succeed in some way. But an especially strong emphasis on leadership. Why is that? Is that just because that's what you did? You were leading for many years, leading a national team as the coach in that sense. But definitely a strong slant on leadership, focus on leadership.
Yeah, I wanted to aim at the leadership market. But again, I'm very, very, very fond of the of the youth, because they got big dreams, they still believe in themselves, they still got sparkle in their eyes. So I also want to get involved with the youth of South Africa, because I truly believe we need leaders there. They're the future of our country. And for me, it's just life lessons, we use the term leadership. For me, it's just coaching. I've been coached my whole life. I've always wanted to coach and make a difference in people's lives. I think sometimes, we put leaders on a pedestal. Leaders are not the top guys. I write it in the book as well. I've met the Queen. I've met the biggest leaders in the world. I've met the most, richest people in the world, and they really embraced my life and great memories. But the normal guy on the street, the normal people I've been in contact with, that's the people that really changed my life. So I think we're so scared, or we use the word leadership for like the elite. And I think every single person out there, you're either a leader at home, on your own little company, or just in your family. And I think you mustn't see, and again, I just believe in the simple stuff. I don't see myself as a great leader. But I think everybody out there is a certain sense is a leader. And I'd like to speak to those people, because it's a small little bit that makes a difference. It's not the big leaders on the big stage. I believe it's the normal human beings, the normal guys that's there every day on the streets.
All the simple leadership acts, all the simple leaders add up to a big collective to make a difference in a country or in a business or in a society.
No, definitely. And again, it's if you look at the principles, it's very simplistic. I think sometimes we miss the little things. We manage people and we look at the bottom line, but we don't look at people. People is your assets, not cupboards or inventory or whatever. People is the difference. And there's so many CEOs that say, no, they care about their customers. They shouldn't care about their customers. They should care about their people, because the people will care about the customers. So for me, it's simple things. And I try to write a book that's very, very short, simple to understand, and simple principles. And I think we usually get the big things right. It's the little things we need to get right in this country.
Yeah, very true, and it all adds up. Now, before we get to the principles, we'll touch on all 7 principles, just so that people get a bit of a taste of it. I am fascinated by, firstly, your foreword was written by Steve Hansen. Okay. And the second thing I'm fascinated by is that the truth is the Springboks and the All Blacks are arch, I almost say enemies. I did say it in a tweet somewhere, but arch rivals. I mean, you're enemies. It's a huge rivalry over many, many years. And yet you and Steve Hansen built an amazing friendship. Now, Heyneke, before we go into the book, I feel like there's a message in that for us, for society, for maybe political leaders who hate each other and fight each other. And you see it in American politics. What are we to learn from that? What did you learn from that amazing experience where your biggest arch rival, team's coach, who's a legendary coach in his own right, was really a good friend?
Yeah, it's so strange, because obviously you know most of the coaches and you coach against them for years. I've been in coaching all my life probably, and Steve as well. But we never actually met before South Africa played New Zealand the first time. I've met all the other guys, but I've never met Steve. And I coached against Robbie Dean's Crusaders probably 20, 30 times, but he was the assistant, so we never talked. And I never actually like to mingle with other coaches before games, because I'm a little bit superstitious. And I don't like, it's war out there. If you speak to the guy, how can you go into war and then, be friendly with the guy? And luckily I changed, because I think that's such awesome memories. And sometimes, we take it probably too serious. And what was great is, if I just can tell the story, we were, it's unbelievable pressure on you when you coach at Africa. You've got the hopes and the dreams of the whole nation. And same with the All Blacks, it's a religion down there, and even South Africa. And obviously both teams want to give their countries hope. And I never met Steve, and then we played the All Blacks. We weren't well prepared. He was like 100 test assistant. It was my first test against them. And we just came undone. And, it felt as if the whole world was coming down on my shoulders. And I put, I've got very high standards. And I sat there in the corner, and it was a big after party and all the speeches and stuff. But I think only a head coach can understand the pressure on the family, and the pressure on the individual is another head coach. So I was sitting in the corner, and he came over to me. I've never met him, and he just brought me a beer. I don't even drink beer. And he just said, listen, no, it was a tough game, but thank you very much. And we started talking about life, not just rugby, and the pressures of being the All Black or the South African coach. And then suddenly there was just a great connection between us. And then later on, before games, which I never will do, I invited him to my house because when you tour, you're like a month on tour. So we met before the games. Obviously, when we played each other, we wanted to kill each other, and it was unbelievable. But New Zealand and South Africa's got an unbelievable ethos, and I thought it was the professional rugby, we've missed that. It was so competitive. It was all about playing a game and then just leaving. And we wanted to bring the ethos of rugby back. I'm very big for the ethos of rugby, and so did Steve. So we made a deal that after games, the All Blacks and the Springboks will have a beer together and have great memories together. And then even after the World Cup, we went to a game lodge together and just celebrate life and being part of something so great. So I'm so happy that he wrote my forward. And one thing I learned from Steve as well, I felt bad after the World Cup. He said, Heyneke, you did your country proud. You don't always win on the scoreboard. And I think that's so true. You don't always win on the scoreboard. And he said this to me, he was the coach that won the most test matches ever, Adriaan. He won the most test matches ever. And he said to me, what, Heyneke, write this in your book. I'm also the coach that lost the most test matches because he coached Wales. So I think, I've learned a lot from them. And that's why I coach rugby, is to make a difference and to meet people around the world and to embrace life. And rugby has so many great lessons. So I'm really happy that we started talking and be friends, and a guy like Stuart Lancaster as well. So it was awesome just to change a mindset, and I think we can learn a lot from that. Even if you in politics, wherever, obviously you want to win, but there's more to life than just winning and losing.
Yeah, I really want us to get something out of this, because you've got this. Maybe it's about trying to find the ethos in, let's say, politics. If we understand and believe in the ethos and the goodness of it, then maybe we'll fight on the political playing field, but then afterwards we'll respect each other and help each other succeed, in a sense.
Well, I think you're right. I think it's all about respect, and obviously every single political party must do the best for what they believe in, and that's the same with me and Steve. You want to do the best for the All Blacks. I love beating the All Blacks. I wanted my country to be proud, and I wanted to do the best for South Africa. But afterwards, we really respect each other as rivalries, and later on as friends. So even in politics, even if everybody has to fight for their cause, I still believe there's a humanity out there, because if you look at it, everybody wants the best for what they believe in, and it should be like that. But we should still want the best for South Africa, and I think if we can respect each other, we want the best for the game, and we know if the All Blacks South Africa is doing well, rugby is doing well, and it's good for the game and it's growing the game. So I think you can take a lot of lessons out of that. I actually never thought about that, but you are bringing the point up. So obviously we can respect each other, although we differ on a lot of points, and we also differ from a lot of points and the way we see the game. But there's a huge mutual respect.
Yeah, you mentioned a few key points, Heyneke, and the one being if I'm the CEO of a major bank and someone else is CEO of a major bank, first we have to see that banking in South Africa is healthy, and if we're both healthy and our companies are, then it's good for our entire financial system in the country. So therefore, let's respect one another. Let's keep that bigger vision in mind. If I'm running the Democratic Alliance or Action SA, Herman Mashaba, or I'm running ANC, first of all, our country, we're all wanting a better country. So yes, stand up for your party, try and win, but always see that bigger vision and connect with your enemies on that bigger vision somehow. Make sure that remains a passionate element.
Yeah, and I think, Adriaan, I haven't actually gone down this lane before, but I truly believe if you respect your opponent, it's easier to negotiate. It's easier to, in a sense, help each other. But if there's no respect, you won't even listen to your opponent. So I truly believe, especially in politics, and I'm not a politician. I just try to get going and do my bit for my country. But I think if there's respect and mutual respect, then you just get things going. Obviously, you can differ a point, but respect is so big in life. You can't buy respect, and you can lose it so easily. It's building, and respect is an easy word to use, but it's actually very, very difficult to earn respect.
Yeah, to earn it, need to keep it. As you say, it's very easy to lose it overnight. All right, those 7 principles are powerful. I can assure everyone I read every single book, word in this book from beginning to end before it even came out. I had the privilege of doing that and enjoyed every moment of it. So I like, no, before we actually go there, you almost attach equal value to success as you do to failure. So somewhere in the book, it comes out very strongly that life is not just about successes, but about failure. And you give a huge respect almost to failure. Just take me through that principle, Heyneke. I think it's so important. You didn't write this book just because of all your successes. You wrote it because of failures and because of life and because of good and bad. Just expand on that.
Yeah, I think the most important thing is I've studied a lot of leaders and sports people and successful people, and success is such a big word. It's every person's got a different view about success. But a lot of people that write books, they don't tell you about their failures, and it looks like superstars and everything just goes well and smooth for them. And I always say, like an airplane takes off against the wind, not with the wind. So the normal guy out there, and I'm just a normal guy, I'm just a guy from Nelspruit. Nobody gave me a chance. Nobody said I'll achieve what I actually achieved. But people that write books, that's why I don't like to write the autobiography, because you only write about your success, and people, the normal guy out there, think it's unachievable. So I really wanted to capture in my book that, listen, I've been fired a lot of times. I was one of the youngest coaches ever, but I was also one of the youngest coaches to be fired. I was one of the first coaches that won the first Super Rugby, and it was a team, it wasn't me. And we just lost by 2 points against the All Blacks, and got one of the best success records. But I was also the coach that lost against Japan. And so I'm trying to show that life is all about, and I usually tell this to my team, it's like a caterpillar, If you get a little caterpillar, and the butterfly is starting to crawl out of the caterpillar, if you actually help it, it will die. It needs to struggle to strengthen the wings, and then it can fly and be a beautiful butterfly. So and it's like the best, or the best iron goes to the warmest fires. So I like to bring that point out, where I haven't seen one overnight success. And even in these times, it's about hope. But if you look at all successful people, they always go through up and downs. It's all about going out there and fight one more round. So I really wanted to go out there and say, listen, I'm not this superstar. I'm definitely not a celebrity. I'm just a normal guy, and I had ups and downs, and I've been fired, and I had highs. And what I try to share with the reader is, listen, nobody thought I'll be a Springbok coach. At school they laughed at me. When I went to university, I told them that I want to coach my country one day, and they laughed at me and said, listen, you have to take your studies seriously. When I went to Woolworths, I actually resigned and said I'm going to coach my country one day. And I said, listen, you're crazy. You've got a good, you've got a really good, you've got a good wicket here, and you've got a good lure on. Sorry for that, I can't word. But people always gives you reasons why it can't work. Especially in these times. Always what I found very strange is there's always guys that gives you 5 reasons why things can't work. You only need 1 reason why it can't work, but I always give you 5. So I want to look at the people that give you 1 good reason why it can work. And I try to go out there and be humble. I really believe in you need to be humble. And it's not about you, it's about making a difference, and you need people to help you. But the biggest point, like you mentioned, is that you are going to get setbacks. You're definitely going to get setbacks. And sometimes it opens new doors, especially in this time. It opens new doors. And I've started with, and I also struggle, don't get me wrong, but you can choose your attitude. And what's so important is, I've read this as well the other day, it takes the same energy to choose a positive or a negative attitude. And the guy that inspired me was Viktor Frankl. He was in the concentration camps. He lost everything. He lost his family, he lost his friends, his clothes, everything. He didn't even have shoes. And they say they can strip you of everything. They can strip you naked, but the one thing they can't take away from you is your choice in life. So I really want to go out there, and even though it's not about making money out of the book. If I can just inspire one guy out there, or girl, and like you said, it's not about rugby. I gave this speech a few times, and people came to me, especially women, and said, listen, I thought it's going to be a rugby book. It's about life stories. So Adriaan, you're so right. I really want to say that I've been hammered a few times, I've been fired a few times, but you have to fight back, and then obviously be successful a few times as well.
Heyneke, when do we learn more about life and about ourselves, and from which do we grow more, successes or failures?
No, definitely failures. Definitely failures. One I actually mentioned there. I lost 11 out of 11 Super Rugby games. I knew before it's going to happen, and they asked me to coach the Bulls, and we were 4 teams. The Bulls, the Leopards, the Falcons, and the Pumas. And I knew from day one we'll never be successful because there's no vision, there's no synergy. every coach wants to coach the team, every player wants to be part of it, but you can't win if you don't work together as a team. And by losing all those games, I never made the same mistakes ever. And the one mistake I made as a Springbok coach, I said, is that I didn't trust my gut enough. Because you learn from these mistakes, that's what makes you successful. And you have to trust your gut. And that's where if I can look back on my career, especially with the Springboks, there's certain things I knew was going to happen, and I didn't trust my gut enough. But you learn more from the failures, because that's not actually failures. We must change the word. It's life lessons. You learn from it. And there's a few books been written where you need 10,000, I think Malcolm Gladwell, you need 10,000 hours to perfect the art. But you have to fail to learn. You can't just, by failing, and it's again, the word failing is wrong. You're just learning. It's life lessons. If you don't learn from it, then I think you fail. But it's all life lessons. You need that. It's like a little kid walking. He falls over a few times, and that's how he learns. But usually we stop. And what I like about the youth, and if you get young kids, they want to jump from buildings, they're Superman, they can fly, they can achieve everything. And we as parents put beliefs on them. We tell them, you'll never make this. No, this is too high. And I've done it to my own kids, My kids told me a few things, and then I said, no, I don't think it's the right career. And then I wrote that specifically in the book. If you want to read about Monty Roberts, where he got the F because he said he wants to be a horse breeder and have this big farm. And the teacher said, it's impossible. Write another essay, I'll give you better marks. And he said, you keep your F, and I'm going to keep my dream. So, I really like people that dreams big, and obviously you learn from mistakes. Definitely, you learn more from mistakes.
Yeah, absolutely. Heyneke, your book, you write, you say 1 of 7, 2 of 7, 3 of 7, you go all the way through to 7. And let's just take a few minutes on some of these principles. The first one, you say you have to have a vision. And I'm understanding that you believe having a vision for an individual is just as important as for a team or for an organization. So, Discovery can have a wonderful vision, or Rugby SA can have a wonderful vision. But ultimately, I get the impression you try to help players also have their own vision. Is it equally important for me as a human being as it is for a team or an entity?
Yeah, that's a great. I'm very, very big on vision. You must have a big vision, because the bigger the vision, the more the energy. And that's a very good point, Adriaan. You asked great questions. I'll just give you an example. The biggest thing for a leader or coach is to align the individual's vision with the team's vision. Okay, and I think that's true essence of leadership. And I'll give you an example. I always tell young coaches, if you in my days, you didn't have cell phones and stuff, and I'm getting old now, but you remember we had school photos. And I always say to young coaches, if you get that photos back after a week or two, who's the first person you look at when you receive the photo back? It's yourself. Yeah. It's always yourself. And then it's the prettiest girl in the class, secondly, and then your friends. So people, unfortunately, it's about themselves. So there's team vision out there, and you're not aligned. You're not motivated. You're not motivated. You have to align the team vision with the individual's vision. So he knows if he plays for the Bulls or the Sharks, or if I'm an organization, they're going to look after me, I'm going to look after my family, I can one day be successful, then you'll be motivated. But if there's a conflict of vision with the individual and the team, we've got so great leaders and they put these visions up, and the individual don't feel part of it. And a lot of the times when I did the vision for the Bulls or the Springboks, the team was part of it, because at the end they must drive it. Leadership is about them driving it. So I think it's so important to align visions and start with the individual probably, and then align the team's vision. And I always say, a ship, if it's off course by a degree, you're not going to mention it. You're not going to see it in a day or two. But in a week, you're going to start missing islands. You're going to miss countries. So that's the first thing. And the other thing I believe in, and it's just my simplistic way, I believe you have to set unrealistic goals. Most of the people will tell you to set realistic goals. But what's more unrealistic to say, Armstrong, I want to walk on the moon? I mean, what's realistic about that? For me, the bigger the vision, the better the energy. And when I said I want to coach my country as a youngster coming from Nelspruit, people laughed at me. Everybody said, you're crazy, because I wasn't a great player. I wasn't in those days. You have to be in the military or profess to have tickies, or in the police to coach, to coach the Bulls. I look back now, I was 32, I was a nobody, and I coached the Bulls, and I was at the World Cup with Nick Mallett. I mean, that's impossible. But it was my dreams. And the one thing I found very strange, Adriaan, now working with people, is you can't believe how few people has a vision. And I think that 97% of people don't write down their vision. 3% do, and they earn more than 97% together. And even myself now, I've came back, I've always wanted to coach the Springboks, and that's why I need to find a new vision as well. And that's why you find that a lot of people that's 80, they still climb mountains. I've read about a woman that's on the airplane where she like walked on the plane while it's flying, and they still have visions. And then you get people at 60, they feel like they have no vision left, and that's why they die. You know, a guy like Donald Sanders was 65 when he had a vision of getting Kentucky into the world. He was 65 for 1 year. Nobody actually listened to him. He slept in his car. Now there's a Kentucky all over the world. So if one thing I can, especially older people, they still have to dream. We have to dream, and the bigger the dream, the more the energy. So I believe in have unrealistic goals. I read about a kid that wrote 120 goals down, like jumping out of an airplane, going to the Amazon. It was a rainy day, and he's achieved 118, I think, of 120 before he was 70. So we have to have big dreams, especially in this country. I'm a very big believer of dreaming, and you have to dream with your eyes open, not when you sleep.
Heyneke, having said that, though, I mean, if you say it's not enough to have a vision, but you need to believe in that vision, then it's easy to fall into the trap of coming up with just some high, almost unachievable vision. That's quite easy to do, but to believe in it is a different ballgame then.
That is difficult, and that's why you need to be true to yourself if you write your goal down. And I wrote there, you know, when we played against Eddie Jones's Reds, we had to beat them by 76 points. I mean, that's impossible. Eddie Jones is a great coach, and we did it because the team believed in it, because our goals were aligned. And I write the interesting story there, Adriaan. For me, one of the best stories ever, and I quickly will go through it. He's like Charles Blondin. He was a tightrope walker, and he was the first guy at the end of the 18th century that walked over Niagara Falls. And he walked with a tightrope over Niagara Falls. They say it's like a few rugby fields wide and a few rugby fields down. And people couldn't believe it. It was unbelievable. And then he said, "You believe I can push a wheelbarrow over the Niagara Falls?" It's a true story. And people didn't believe it, and he did it again. And then he said, "Do you think I can be blindfolded and walk over Niagara Falls?" And then 3/4 of the crowd put up their hands because they've seen this guy's great. And the third time, he went over with a wheelbarrow. And then the fourth time, he said, "Do you think I can walk over the Niagara Falls with somebody on my back?" And the whole crowd put up their hands. Every single human being there, and girl and kid, put up their hands. And then he said this interesting words: "Can I have one volunteer out of the audience?" And there was none. So although they see what this guy can do, and they believe it, they didn't truly believe it. So I'm a big believer that even with my teams, you have to believe it. And that's why I had him a lot of times writing it down and signing. We say we're going to win a game by 30 points, and that game against the Reds by 76 points. You know, the whole team signed there, and then they start to believe it, and then the body works. But to believe something is not as easy. So you have to believe in your vision. And I was such a big believer that I will touch at the highest level. For me, it was just a matter of timing. It wasn't even a matter of when. I knew it will happen because I had such a big belief in it. And looking back now, it's almost strange looking back. I was so young, and I truly believed that I will touch the highest level.
I mean, people must go and read the book about that whole Red story and how the team sat and each of them committed to what they were going to do and how many tackles, how many tries. I mean, it's a remarkable story. So we don't have the time for that now, but people would love hearing it.
It's unbelievable. That story is unbelievable. And I didn't go, but that was unbelievable.
No, it's literally unbelievable, but it happened. and it didn't just happen once. I mean, those amazing experiences. I am going to ask you honestly, though, as you set this impossible vision, if I can call it that, to one day, let's say, coach the Springbok team, the national team, you must have had setbacks that tested your belief levels.
I definitely had setbacks. And now, you know what's strange, Adriaan, and I'm quite honest, I know you for a long time, so you bring the best out of me and the honesty out of me, is as you get older, you start to doubt more. I don't know how it works like this, you know, as you get older. If I think back now, I was a youngster, and I was at the World Cup in '99 as a 33-year-old. I was younger than most of the team. And 4 years earlier, I wrote that someone came around and said they wanted you can take out an insurance policy, and then in 4 years' time you can go to the World Cup. And I was under 16 coach. I was a nobody. And 4 years later, I didn't have the money, but I said to my friend, I'm going to be at that World Cup. And 4 years later, from under 16 school coach to Nick Mallet forward coach at that World Cup. I mean, that's impossible. And I was fired a few times, and I take full responsibility, although there was other factors. I think leadership, we have to take more responsibility. But looking back now, things didn't work out for me at Stad Francais, and I decided if people don't align with my vision and don't want to be successful, then it's not for, it's not going to work. But by saying that, when you're younger, you're willing to fight more for what you believe in. Is when we get older, you start to doubt, and is there still enough in me, and am I still strong enough? And we actually much wiser and much better. So there were never times that I doubted. I always knew I would come back, and I wrote there about mental toughness. The one where I did worry was when it was the one night, I think the 22nd of August, where my wife was sick with cancer. That same night, 22nd of June, they wanted to fire me, and the All Players was against me, and my father had a 5 double bypass. That was the only night I thought I'm going to struggle, because if something happened to my wife, I can't coach. My kids are small, I can't go over the world. But I always believed that I will coach at the highest level. And not to sound arrogant, I had chances earlier to coach the Springboks. I declined because I wanted to try and win Super Rugby. And they always said Super Rugby is impossible to win, because everything is against the South African teams. You travel more, you play more away games. And I always knew we can do it. And since everybody knows how the Currie Cup looks, but nobody knew how the Super Rugby trophy looks like. So we made a conscious decision to put it in every single note, in every single envelope, everything in a cloakroom. We put up the Super Rugby trophy, and then it starts to become a reality. So obviously, I had setbacks, but I never doubted, never in my mind that I won't achieve it.
Okay, 3 of 7, you must have willpower. So fine, I can have a vision, and I must believe in that vision and work very hard to keep believing in it, no matter the setbacks. And then you must have willpower. Link that to the first 2.
Yeah, I always say I've decided a few times, more tongue in cheek probably, that I want to run the Comrades. And I've said, I believe I can run the Comrades. If I really train hard, I know I can do it. But to stand up every morning at 5 and train, and Saturdays, I'm not willing to do that, because obviously I coach and I need family time as well. So you don't have the willpower, you're not going to do it. And Tony Robbins uses a very, very interesting pain pleasure principle there. We say I like hamburgers, you see hamburger as pleasure, you're always going to eat hamburgers. But if you associate it with pain, you see if I eat a hamburger, I'm not going to see my kids, I'm going to feel bloated, I'm going to have a heart attack, I'm going to get sick. Then it starts becoming pain, and so it's all about changing habits. So you need the willpower, because it's easy the first 2 is probably easy. But if you don't have the willpower, then you're not going to do it. And I know a lot of great players that was great rugby youngsters. They could have played in Africa, but they didn't want to get up early and train and be sore and go for treatment and get operations. So if you don't really want to do it, people can't force you to do it. I've said to a lot of people, if you only have to work half an hour to be successful, half a day. You can decide if it's the first 12 or the second 12. So if you don't have the willpower, if you just go to work and back, and it's such a fine line, it goes into point 4 as well, work ethic, But if you don't have the will, nobody can force you. I really wanted to coach in Africa. It was a burning desire. You can have setbacks. If that passion is there, you'll do it. So you need a passion or the willpower.
So willpower is the same as self-discipline.
It is self-discipline. I think it's more. You have to change habits. But again, self-discipline is, I'm not always the best self-discipline guys on other things, but when it came to rugby, I would have worked 16 hours a day, because I had such a big vision and a dream and such a big willpower to achieve it. A lot of successful people, and sometimes I think people are not honest. I don't think everybody is really self-disciplined on every aspect, I think a lot of the best lawyers, their own things are not in place. A lot of the best handyman, their own houses are not that well kept in place. And like a lot of the best coaches, I don't always get to my kids coaching them. I think willpower is more just for your specific vision, and you can't be unbelievable willpower for everything. So it's more your vision.
So it's almost, I see the picture in my mind that it's self-discipline in the direction of my vision and what I'm passionate about. Then I have the will to have self-discipline in that area. But in the area of getting up and studying for a degree, or in the area of, whatever else, I'm not that I don't have enough willpower. I mean, that makes a lot of sense. Then, as you say, work ethic, very much. I mean, I always remember the example of Victor Matfield. You always refer to him, and I'm sure he's not the only one in terms of his work ethic. We can have a wonderful vision. We can believe in that vision. You can have the willpower, but you've got to have the work ethic. You can't sit back and work 6-hour days if you have this incredible vision.
No, and I think work ethic, all those points are very interlinked, but work ethic, we always think it's a pain doing it. If you love something, that's why I'm so big on your passion. I've said to a lot of people, if you don't enjoy what you do, then you should leave your job. Go do something else, because you won't be successful. So although we say, when I was at the Bulls, I worked, I promise you, 8 hours a day, but it wasn't work for me. It was just unbelievable energy and enjoyment, and people that around me wanted to be successful. So work ethic is, and I'll give you an example, a guy like Morne Steyn. Morne didn't even play he played for San Du Plessis. He wasn't in Grey, he came from Bloemfontein. Cravenweek, he wasn't first choice, he sat on the bank. And I got him as an under 18 player, straight from Bloemfontein. And I remember we toured Georgia, and he wasn't even his school's first kicker. And we played games where he had to kick, and I think he missed 8 out of 13 right in front of the post. He couldn't kick, he wasn't a kicker. And then I had Dave Allred, who was Jody Wilkinson's kicking coach, and he worked with Morne. And Morne then just started working day in and day out on kicking. And when he kicked that kick against the British Isles Lions, I knew he was going to kick it, because I've stand with him there numerous occasions saying, listen, you kick to win the Currie Cup, you kick here to win the World Cup, all against the British Irish Lions. And I've got so many examples of guys that wasn't the best players, not the best talented, and they became superstars just by work ethic. And if you look at the top players, Adriaan, the difference, and I think it's all over in life, the difference between the top guys in any circle of life is not big. It's just the work ethic that makes a difference. I mean, I know superstar rugby players at school that didn't make it because they started drinking and had bad habits, but they had much more talent than most of the guys I coached. And they just stopped playing because they didn't have willpower or work ethic. So they made it, and then you enjoy it. Once you're good at something, you enjoy it. If you're good at maths at school, obviously you're going to do better in maths and work harder at it. So you need a passion, but without work ethic, I've seen so many guys, and I can mention hundreds of examples of players. A guy like Dwayne, I mentioned him a lot as well. Dwayne played and he also came from Nelspruit. His father passed away when he was small, and he wasn't selected in the beginning for any team. He just kept on working hard, and now he was the player of the World Cup final. And Dwayne is not the quickest, he's not the fastest. He's just a very, very hard, mentally tough, hard worker. And over years, now he's a superstar. But if you just look at this, a lot of players like Dwayne out there that didn't make it. So he just kept going, and like 0.5, just mentally tough, came back from setbacks.
Yeah, work ethic, your top entrepreneurs, your work ethic is always there. People think they're working to have holiday homes and to have lots of properties and to gather wealth. And that comes in many cases, but actually they just love working hard, and they have that vision and everything else you talk about. Mentally tough, you mentioned. These are such brilliant points. You must enjoy the journey. You mentioned it just now, the need to enjoy the journey. If you don't get out, and then you cannot do this alone. Those are the 3 remaining points. If you maybe touch on those, mentally tough, I like that. So you can do so well and you can have everything else, but if you're not mentally tough, are you going to make it?
There's no way you can make it if you're not mentally tough. And again, I believe this is simplistic things. Mentally tough, you shouldn't see a superstar out there or a guy that climb mountains, and mentally tough is the normal guys. It's a normal mother that provides for a family that struggles. That's a single parent, and that is the people that kept on going and provide for their children and bring up great human beings. So we shouldn't see these principles as people out there or different people. And mentally tough, like I said, Ali, just go and fight one more round. And if you look at Ali as well, he lost a lot of fights as well. If you look at all the top guys, they've all lost. But you have to go out there and fight one more round. And specific this book for this time, because again, now of the lockdown, I could just see the whole country. It's almost like the Springboks losing. The whole country is just, you can just sense that there's a perception of, negativity now in the whole country. Guys can't go to the beaches. I'm in the South Coast. I've spoken to a lot of guys this morning that's got businesses that's worried. But you have to be mentally tough because something will open up soon. They will, maybe I must make this point, Adriaan, and I'm very, very sensitive making this point because I know there's a lot of people dying. I know there's a lot of hardship out there. So don't get me wrong. I just want to put it into perspective, and I've got a lot of empathy for people there. But just I want to make this point, and I've made it the other day. A lot of people I help. So if I maybe make this point, I can help someone. This last 2 years is very tough on business and everybody, and people tell me how tough it is. But if you really look at in life, in the last few centuries, this is probably the best time to live. Because I'll tell you why. If you look at the life expectancy 100 years back was 27. Most women died at birth when they gave birth at 23. There were malaria. There was 2 big world wars where so many men died out there. Now there's antibiotics. The life expectancy now of people is the highest it's ever been in the last 2,000, 3,000 years. And so there's so many things to be positive about. I know we're going through bad times, but if you look at, the world wars was very, very tough. And there's been so many wars. And like I said, malaria in this country and now there's antibiotics, there's great hospitals. Yes, we're still struggling, but I still believe this time is one of the best areas to live in. And we should embrace that, and we should make a difference, and we should try and be positive. And I know it's easy for me to talk. I also had setbacks. I also just came back from and I haven't started the new job officially. So it's not easy, but I truly still believe this is a great time to live in, and especially for our country, They will open things will open up, and we will get better, and we will get through it if we work together, and if we're positive and stop looking at the negative. So many people out there struggling, but if you look at the greatest schemes of things, and I said to you, this is very sensitive, but if you look at the greatest schemes of things in the last few hundred years, even cancer, there's cures, and there's cures for HIV starting to. So, if we work together and be positive, there's so much that we can offer, and I think it's a great time that we can prosper and just be a great country and great human beings.
Yeah, it's fascinating. This year, one of the biggest lessons, and I wrote an article about 5 dimensions of gratitude. And sometimes we just say be grateful, but there are different dimensions to how feeling grateful and being grateful can just change your life. There's always more to be positive about than negative. No matter where your life is, you can probably always make a longer list of positive things if your mindset is right than negative things, even when things are really tough. And you're right, it's a difficult time to say that, because there are people who don't see the wood from the trees at the moment. But I truly believe, Adriaan, that's where leadership comes in, because it's easy just to go with the flow, and that's where we need leaders. We need guys to say, listen, we are in a mess. It is tough, but there is hope. People just want hope. And even if, and please don't get me wrong, I'm also falling into this trap, because the more you spend time with negative people, the more it pulls you down. And Facebook and social media, I don't have any of those, because I don't understand it, first of all, and secondly, if the Springbok Coach, you don't want social media. But one bad like or not like on social media, I meet people in their old days room. That's a small little things. And to take it a step further, mistakes, don't get me wrong, but even if your health, if you start to don't have a vision and be positive and think you'll be fine and everything, you are going to get sick, not just with the coronavirus, other things as well, and depression and I've got a lot of sympathy out there. And that's, again, I keep on coming back to the book. You can choose your attitude, and really, I truly believe this book can make a difference. Even if it's just 5 people's lives, I'll be so overwhelmed and humbled through that. Yeah, you'll impact many more people's lives. The book Heyneke Meyer is talking about is just called 7, and it's already there on the sort of best-selling list. Heyneke, we can talk about all these principles much more. People must go and read and relax and do that, especially as they head into the new year. It's a brilliant time to read this sort of book specifically. But we can't do it alone. Your last principle, maybe we end off with that, and then 1 or 2 other thoughts you have for leaders. But before we go there, we can't do it alone. And maybe there are lots of people who feel alone, but you could never have done anything alone. You couldn't have gotten through your difficult times alone, probably. Maybe sometimes that not being alone can be where you feel alone, but you just go on your knees and pray, and then you're not alone. We're never alone, I would venture to say.
Now, I want to start off by this. Heyneke Meyer was in the mining industry and the steel industry in the 50s, and he was the richest guy almost in the world at one stage. He had 100 millionaires in the 50s working for him, and that's not rand, that's US dollar. And they asked him, what's your secret of your success? And he said, you know what? People are like the mining industry. You take layers and layers and layers of rubble and throw it away, and then somewhere you get a gold nugget. And if you can get a gold nugget in people, if you take layers and layers and layers off, and you can get a gold nugget, every single person's got a gold nugget. And if you can nurture that, you'll be successful. So whatever you give out, you will get back. And, you know, it's almost humbling. You know, I've given a lot of books away to friends and people I knew. And you know what? I found mind-boggling. Even CEOs, even guys that's unbelievable leaders. Every guy wrote like a personal message. It's just something small. You know, like a guy was at university with me, and people said he'll never, he's good to nothing. He just passed school, he struggled, and they said to me, you'll never ever make success of your life. And I just wrote to my book, listen, I'm so proud of you. Nobody gave you a chance. Look where you are today. And the guy started crying. And so many people, I just wrote a small foreword in my own handwriting, not an email, just personally. It touched them so much. And that's why I realized people out there, you know, people just, we need to interact with people. And I say it, you can't do it alone in life. You know, I haven't seen one successful guy that doesn't have a strong team around him. And especially now going to the holidays and Christmas, I mean, it's such a big honor being with your family and spending time with people you like. And I think we can make small differences out there, the normal people out there, just being, you know, just being happy and just, you know, just small things. And it's the small things in my life that made a huge impact on me. Not like I said, not the richest people or the queen or whoever. Obviously, they changed my life and I embraced the memories, but it's the normal people. So I've seen in life that, you know, this country, we've got so much going for us. And if we just work together and a little bit smarter and care about each other, not care about, I always say leaders look at the vision. They don't look at the bottom line. The bottom line will take care of themselves. You know, they look at the horizon. And, you know, just walking past someone and say, listen, I think you did a great job today. I mean, it puts a huge smile on somebody's face. So I've seen in my life, I've been somehow successful. It wasn't me. It was every single time. It was a team effort. It was the team. It was my coaching team and my coaching staff. They didn't always get the recognition, but they're the heroes out there. And I think in every business, you know, you have to embrace your people. You have to look after your people. And, you know, I know it's tough times, but the end it's your people that's going to pull you through. You can't do it on your own. It may be your family or your personal family or your bigger family in your business. But if you stand together, they're the guys that can pull you through. You can't do it alone. There's no way you can do it alone in life. I haven't seen one guy be successful where he did it alone in his life. I haven't seen that.
Heyneke, thank you for your time. A brilliant book. It certainly will touch some lives. I guess I'm interested, and many would be. Where are you going now? Where are you heading? You've written this great book. You've got all this experience behind you. No doubt there will probably be some possibilities and opportunities that come your way. But what do you want to achieve next?
Yeah, I really want to make a difference. I want to give back. I know everybody say that, but I really want to give back. I've achieved most of my dreams. I need to find new ones now. I've started a company Invictus where I mentor young players and coaches. And I want to give some leadership lessons, you know, courses, and see if I can help leaders out there and coach, and then try and mentor. And then also I'm going to probably move here to the Southern Cape, and I really love this place because they gave me my first chance. I'm quite sentimental and loyal. So I want to host a few sporting clinics here and sporting festivals and bring sport back to this country, because sports just enriches the lives and puts smiles on people's face. You can see now sport not being, 100% activity at the moment. People need something. They need something to believe in. And then I still believe I'm young. I'm quite young. Again, it's a mindset. I said to you, you have to believe it. I thought I'm old and I've achieved my goals, and that's typically so wrong. So I'm still young. And, I'm a coach. I can't help it. So sooner or later I'll probably be involved, but I want to be involved in my own country. I've been all over the world now. We've got such an unbelievable country. And don't get me wrong, every country there's problems. I've been all over the world. Every country's got problems. And, we've got so much going for us. And so I like to be still involved with coaching, if it's not with a big team at any level. And then there's a lot of dreams I still want to achieve. And I enjoy this time. I know it was tough, but it's been great with my family, seeing my boys. And, I'm not waiting. I'm writing my goals down and following these same principles. And sometimes I say to myself, Heyneke, you say these things, but you don't do it. I remind myself to choose my attitude, to write down my vision, and to think big. And there's still a lot of going for me if I'm healthy, which I am at the moment, there's a lot that I still want to achieve. Maybe I can end off with a story. You asked me what's left for me. I read a story about Alfred Nobel, and I didn't realize that he was the guy that invented gunpowder. And then his brother passed away, and they wrote in the French media, here's the Merchant of Death. He's passed away, thankfully he's gone now, and he read it, and he felt so guilty. And he said, this is not how I want to be remembered. That wasn't the legacy I want to do. And then he gave a lot of his money away, and now the Nobel Peace Prize is named after him, and the Nobel Prize for literature and a lot of things. So that's the same with me. The legacy for me is not to be the best coach in the world, or for me it's just a normal guy that makes a difference. So I still think there's a lot that I can do, and a lot of I can achieve, and just making difference in normal people's lives. And with the book now, I can't tell you how humbling it is. Like, a lot of people wrote to me and said, listen, it's been awesome. You've changed my life. And for me, that's a legacy. I don't want to be remembered as the best coach or a South African coach. I just want to be remembered as a normal guy that made a difference on the streets and on everyday's lives. And so there's still a lot that I want to achieve.
Yeah, and the challenge is when you write a book like this is you've got to eat your own dog food. I mean, these are high standards. They are simple principles, but as you say, doing them yourself. It's tough when you, I remember Dr. Stephen Covey, the guy who wrote 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I've heard some stories, and he's a good guy. I've met him a few times. I really believe he's a magnificent human being. But you've heard some stories where he got impatient with people at an airport because of the booking, and of course those stories go all over the world. Just because I teach great principles of how to be successful in life, and then now and then I can't do it myself because these are the higher principles. But good luck in living your own principles.
No, you have to. But again, if you look at the gospel as well, it's just normal people. They are going to make mistakes, and for me, it's great because it reminds me that. You have to live and you want to leave a legacy, but got me positive, and I really it's a big honor. And I think that the last thing I want to add is I actually don't believe in the limelight. I've never coached in the limelight, and I believe the team needs to be in the limelight. And it was, again, it's the willpower thing. I wrote about that as well, where I now suddenly in the limelight, the media write again. They write about that loss against Japan, but again, you have to accept that if you want to make a difference, and people don't need to be scared out there. If you dream, you are going to make a difference, but you're all going to get criticism as well. So just go out there, enjoy life, and go 100%.
Heyneke Meyer, welcome back in South Africa. Thank you for your book 7, which would be all over the shelves. Get yourself a copy, folks. It's a good, inspiring book, and I can promise you'll enjoy every second of it. You sense Heineke's energy in that book. I mean, not everyone can convey their own energy that they have in a book in words, but I certainly sense that, and I think you would too. Heyneke, thank you for joining us on ThinkLead, which is a global leadership ecosystem helping leaders think and lead on a whole new level in this post-COVID world. And we appreciate your time for talking to us. We hope the book does well, but I think it's going to do better with what you do with that book and you going and sharing those principles with the world. I hope you get lots of opportunity to do that.
Thank you. It's a big honor. And like I said, go out there and fight one more round. We South Africans, we're used to fighting.
Thank you so much, Heyneke. All the best.
Thanks, Adriaan. Awesome.